How can you overcome anxiety during awakening? I got this question just the other day from one of my subscribers. It says, I have a very strong desire to get rid of intrusive thoughts and anxiety, and that is what put me on the spiritual path. How do I manage this desire, which I know is mind made? So, managing the desire to get rid of anxiety or the desire to be free of anxiety is perfectly natural. And anything that occurs during awakening is totally okay. The biggest advice that I've given to people over the years is to be kind to yourself. Okay, give yourself a break. The common pitfall I see people making is falling into judgment. There's this idea that the spiritual police hand down saying, thou shalt not be judging on such and such, or thou should not have desires. You should not act on your desires. You should not have certain thoughts. You shouldn't judge yourself. And all of this becomes a trap that feeds, it's like fuel for the fire of anxiety. So what is anxiety? Anxiety is really an ignorance or ignorance of reality, or it's a fight, an argument against reality, or a perception that of fear of the unknown. Okay, you get anxious when you're not sure what's about to happen, when there's a fear of the unknown, or when you're resisting what is. So the desire to be free of that is, of course, perfectly natural. Of course, who would want to be full of anxiety? Who wants to feel anxious? Nobody. Sometimes, though, it feels like there's no cause to this anxiety, like it occurs as part of awakening. Now, some of this can be attributed to this huge black cloud of the unknown. Because for the longest time, if you've been operating as a separate individual and you believed yourself to be a separate person moving in the world, and yet suddenly you had a glimpse of the deeper reality, the truth that there is no separation and there is only oneness or awareness or consciousness, the mind freaks out about that. It doesn't know where its place is anymore. It doesn't know what it's supposed to do and how it's supposed to protect itself. Because for your entire life up until this point, you may have noticed that the mind is doing everything it can to reinforce itself, to reinforce its identity or ego, and also to reinforce its position as being important and life critical to your very existence. Even though those things are not facts, right? They are merely the nature of mind. They are not the nature of reality. Because as you've doubtless experienced, you can observe your thoughts. You can see them popping up in all their lunatic brilliance without you asking for them or having any involvement in the process whatsoever. And yet that's what the mind does. It says, I am this thing. I'm going to drive this ship. We're at risk from what they're saying over there. We're at risk of the unknown over here. We must take action. We must think and plan all of this stuff out. We've got to ruminate on it constantly and not go to sleep tonight until we've got all of this solved. And once we've got it solved, something else is going to pop up and we're going to chew on that as well. That's the mind. That's not you. So anxiety is created by the mind, typically from a stance of not knowing. Now, not knowing to a mind is fear. It's the unknown. It's pure anxiety. I don't know what's around the corner. And I, the mind, must know that because I am at risk. I am endangered here. And I must protect myself, the ego, because I'm this little fragile individual thing in the whole universe. And if something around this corner is dangerous, I could be wiped out and I must protect myself against that. So the chemicals start getting released, the plans, the fear, the anxiety. That's how the mind reacts to the unknown. But you're not the mind. We've established that. So what are you? Well, you are the consciousness, the awareness in which all of this occurs, the awareness in which the thoughts occur. Now, to awareness, the unknown has no effect. Literally none. Think back to when you were a child and just recall any memory of when you were a child. Not what happened or how you felt or the situation, but just your awareness of it. Can you remember how sharp that awareness was, what the images looked like, the sounds, not the nature, not the content, but just the awareness of the content? Now think about your awareness right now as you're watching this or listening to this. The awareness is the same. The content is different, but the awareness stays the same. It never degrades over time. And the awareness doesn't judge. Your awareness of a shark swimming towards you is the same as the awareness is the same if it were a butterfly landing on your hand or awareness of eating chocolate. The awareness is the same. The awareness doesn't contract based on the content that occurs within it. It doesn't degrade based on the content that occurs in it. You can see and be aware of and experience multiple so-called negative things of your life. The awareness remains the same, unjudging. So as you feel anxiety start to rise up, try to understand that initially it comes from the mind, which is not you. And there is always a degree of separation between the observer, you, and the observed, the mind, the thoughts, the anxiety, the physical sensations. The trouble starts when you merge the two and you lose that seat of witness and being the observer, and you fall into the experience, you fall into the thoughts, and you go along with that train of thought. You become immersed in the sensations, and at this point they're so intertwined and entangled, you can't separate them out. And you feel as if the negative thoughts, the fearful thoughts, the horrible emotions and physical sensations of anxiety, you feel that they are you and that they are happening to you. Now, all that's required to free yourself from this trap is to observe them as they happen. Desiring them to go away is perfectly natural. Observe that desire. Don't judge your desire to be free from anxiety. And if there is judgment, and it's instantaneous judgment, which occurs all the time, you walk down the street, you make a judgment, you hear something, you make a judgment, you see a picture, you make a judgment, that judgment is not you. You didn't sit down there and ponder and say, okay, just give me 5 minutes here whilst I make a judgment. It was a cosmic event, the same as a lightning strike or a leaf falling from the tree. You were not involved in that process. So don't judge the judging and don't get attached to the negative thoughts that arise that create anxiety. Now, of course, this is easier said than done because we do fall into that trap of feeling that the physical sensations are happening to us. The anxiety is taking us over. It's crippling us. But when you realize and understand that what you are is not the body or the mind, and not the combination of the two, the body-mind, but is really the awareness in which the body and the mind occur, you realize that that awareness cannot be touched, degraded, or negatively affected in any way by any of this. And it's always present and it's always available to you. When you say, I am anxious or I'm feeling anxiety, just focus on the I. Oh, I am aware of anxiety. This I that is aware feels calm, feels peaceful. There is anxiety over there. It is occurring to the body, to the mind, but I, awareness, am aware of it. Space, you see, space between. Now, at a deeper level, the anxiety, the body, the mind, everything is made of awareness. There is only one thing, and that is awareness, global awareness, in which everything occurs and from which everything arises and from which everything is made. So every sensation, perception, thought, experience, relationship that the so-called you has is literally with itself. And this fear of the unknown need not be conquered. It doesn't have to be solved. You don't have to discover what that unknown thing is and make it known in order to be free from anxiety. In fact, the less you know, the better. Because you think you know, oh, I know that I'm a separate person. I know that I'm this name. I know that I'm the mind. I know that I'm the body. When you unknow all of those things, and you know only that I am, you know only that I am aware, and I am aware of being aware, and that's the only thing you know, nothing can touch you. And you finally realize you are the peace and happiness that you've been seeking all along. And these natural tendencies to have fears and negative thoughts and anxiety arising will gently and gradually subside. Now, the body mind, of course, still is there. It doesn't have any separate actual reality to it, but as an aspect of the one awareness, of course, it still exists as an aspect of that. So there will still be cosmic things that happen, like the thought will arise, just like the leaf will fall from a tree and a lightning bolt will strike. Okay, so there will still be thoughts, there will still be judgments, there will still be fears. But when you've realized and understood that you are the awareness in which all of these things occur, and every single so-called thing is actually made of that awareness, there is no fear, there's no disturbance. The awareness can't be touched because it is itself. I hope this has helped you.